Hi, everyone. I'm Mitch Jacobson. I'm the owner of Category 5 Studios here in New York, and I do a lot of multicam work in the studio and out in the field as well. And lately, I've been playing with some really cool toys I want to share with you and show you some techniques that I've been using to do live editing of multi-camera sources, both in the field and also in my studio. Just to kind of give you a rough idea, it's the ability to take as many cameras as you can max out on your system. I'll get into that in a second, because you can do more than 8. And then bring it into an editing system like Premiere, Avid, or Final Cut 10, and edit the files while it's being recorded. So if you have a live show, I've been doing award shows recently where websites want to have video clips made up of something that's happening live. And they want to flip that right away onto their website so their social media channels can get it out first and they can get all the exposure as fast as possible, because whoever gets it out first gets all the hits, right? So what I've been doing is I've been capturing network feeds, and I've been editing little packages. I sit there and I wait for a text message from a producer somewhere in LA or New York or wherever, and they tell me what they want as they're watching it, and then I cut the package and flip it out to Dropbox, Yala servers, or WeTransfer on the end. So what I'm going to demonstrate is a basic system, except, I mean, this is a Mac Pro trash can. Well, I bought this system. I used to call it trash can. Now it's called the tube, okay, because it used to be, anyway. And this is a G-RAID. It's 56 terabyte RAID. This is a 12-core trash can tube, and it's got 64 gigs of RAM. Recommended is 2 gigs of RAM per core. If you have more, the better, obviously. There's 2 D700 graphic cards in here. So this is basically the most maxed out. I can put some more RAM in, but other than that, this system is about as good as it'll get. This is a 56 terabyte G-RAID. Sweet! And it's Thunderbolt, 1 cable connection. And then this little guy here is made by DeltaCast. It's an I/O box. I have 8 SDI cables plugged into here, and we've mapped 8 cameras from around the room, around here, Abelcine, to the system. This is also a Thunderbolt in. So 2 Thunderbolt cables, 8 SDI feeds, a dongle that you use to unlock the MovieRecorder software, and of course the content. So we have 1 camera here. There's 2 cameras in the room, and some others scattered around. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up MovieRecorder software and Premiere Pro. So this is the MovieRecorder software. On the left-hand side, there is the 8 inputs from the DeltaCast box, the SDI box. And each one of these has a feed from one of the cameras. This is this camera. So now you're seeing 1 camera. You can do this with as many as your system will allow. Down here you have viewers. I'm going to turn on a 9-viewer box. We have 8 channels coming in. I'm going to turn on all of these, and then I'm going to select these sources. So I'll put 2 and 2. There's 3. Hopefully all these will come on quick. There's 4, 5. I feel like I'm on Sesame Street all of a sudden. I can count. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I missed one here. I can't count. There's 6. We'll make this one 7, and we'll make this one 8. So 3 is down. Maybe it's a cable issue or something. But you can see now 8 sources live. They're reading time code actually from the system clock in the Mac. It's military time for 6:50 p.m. And you also have other options I'll show you here in preferences. There's a time code option here for the Mac clock, audio LTC that you can feed it, or time code buddy. Time code buddy, briefly, is a small time code generator with a built-in Wi-Fi. It's awesome. You can generate time code to your local set with ad hoc Wi-Fi network and pick it up on your cameras or on your Mac or whatever, and it constantly generates and regenerates time code sync to your cameras so everything stays happy. And it also comes with a free app, so you can load it up on your iPad. And I don't know if it's on here or not. Let me see. So you can make a digital slate with your iPad. Now, let's see. So, you know, time code is usually a big deal when it comes to this stuff because you want to make sure all your cameras are going to be in sync.
So not embedded in, not embedded time code though?
Yes, it will embed it. You can pull in off of the SDI cables if you have time code embedded from your cameras. So if you're jam syncing all your cameras to a time of day, for instance, that time code will run through the SDI cable with sound, and it'll come through the box, and you can bring that in, and it'll generate that same time code to all your cameras on your sources. Yeah, so I was just looking at camera 3. All right. So now out of the sources, since we're talking about sources, each one of these can be renamed. I just left them as the originals. But when you go into each source, you can rename it. You can pick what format it is that you're sending it so that that matches. The field pixel format of 8-bit or 10-bit, audio sample size, and then your application time code. If it's coming in off the card, if you wanted it to come through your SDI, you would switch it to the video card time code, and then you could pull in your SDI time code. Pretty good. And you go through and do that with all 8 of them. Over here you can mute these when they play back. And there's a play, record, pause button for each source. You can also select all of them at once, and then down here at the bottom there's a gang button, so you can hit one button and they all start recording at the same time. It's a multi-cameraman's dream. Destinations is basically where the files are being recorded to. In this particular case, I've set up ProRes to movies, and I've picked a spot on my RAID. While that's catching up, go down to edit-while-ingest, and this is kind of the heart of the matter here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be recording this footage and creating growing media files that the Premiere software can then read, so we can edit it as we're going along. The growing media files, think of a QuickTime file as usually, it's like a movie, it's like filled with frames, right? So a growing media file is like an empty movie, like an empty box. And as it's recording, it fills with frames until it's full, and then you have the full movie. With growing media, you can start working with it before it finishes recording, so before the box is full. There's different ways. I'm not going to get all, I don't have a lot of time, but basically the classic edit-while-ingest method, you can set the time of the file. I want it to be 1 hour. If it goes over, it creates another file, and each file would be an hour long, and there's no frame lag or in between, so you can marry those together in the end. Usually I prefer smaller files because then I know I got it, and then it goes on to the next one. You can update it, so when it finishes, if it's less than an hour, it'll only be 30 minutes or however long it is. And then you can also pick the format of your files. I'm working in ProRes LT here.
Smaller files do you prefer what way?
Well, it all depends on what you're doing. If you're doing multicam for the web, LT is fine because you're never going to use more than that bandwidth. But if you could, let's say for instance you're doing a high-res situation and you want to do like kind of an offline online workflow, you can also set multiple destinations. So if I wanted to, I can go down here and pick another QuickTime destination and say maybe send that to the desktop and do it again as maybe a proxy file. And now I've got 2 destinations. It'll record 2 files for each camera, one onto my RAID in 422 LT, another proxy file onto the desktop. If you're hooked up to a SAN or a RAID, a local media storage system, you can work in an online-offline workflow, and you can have various editors tapping into it and grabbing files and cutting all stuff at the same time. So that was just an example, so I'll kill that, and we'll start moving real fast. You can schedule recordings. This software is pretty intense. You can also work over the web with this. If you have it set up somewhere, you can dial in from somewhere else and control it all. It's pretty cool. So, all right, well, that's just the basic of it. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the sources, and let's select all of these, and I'll go ahead and I'll hit record now. We've gained, I guess, camera 3's out. So that's okay. We'll just let it go. We're rolling and recording. You can see the time code is all matching from the Mac clock, and on the right there's also time code that just shows you the duration of the clips. So we're recording. It's just basically now you're recording 8 cameras at the same time. No big deal, right? Everyone's doing that now.
Is this you said Premiere Pro?
This is called MovieRecorder.
Oh, but it's not connected to Premiere.
It's not connected to anything, but you can record movie files this way onto your system without anything else. What's cool about it is it creates growing media files, because not only is it making the file, but it's growing, it's making it live. So it's making a file as you go along, it's filling in all the extra frames as you're recording forward. But it gives you the ability to now go work in Premiere and pick up those files and start editing before you're finished recording. So I'm recording all these files and they're still recording. I go into my edit software and I can see these in the media browser. There's the 8 cameras in the media browser. Before I move any further, I just go into a preference setting in Premiere for the media, and I just want to point out one quick thing here. This is where Premiere talks about growing files. This is where it reads the growing file in Preferences Media, and it shows that you can automatically refresh those files in Premiere. And I put every 20 seconds for this demo because I want it to happen pretty quick. But you can set that for however you like. The only caveat is XMP ID files. Unselect that because that writes kind of like metadata into the file, and you don't want to do that in this workflow. So moving right along, just like anything in Premiere, you would find the files that you want to import into your project, and you select those and import them in. It just takes a second to do that, and then when you switch back to your project, now I have all these. The one thing you might want to notice is that the files are italicized. The names of the files are italicized, and that's because they're growing media files. That's the giveaway. So now, let's see, I'll go over here and I'll show you the rest of the rest of the workflow is just like you would work in multicam in Premiere. So this file, these 8 files, I want to group as a multicam source sequence. And I can do that by time code because they all have the same time code. Even though it's from the Mac clock, which isn't a frame-based thing, it still references it. It may be off a frame or two. You can slip that or whatever if you need to. If you had a timecode buddy or a Crystal Sync type Jam Sync timecode source, it would be lock solid. And if you had audio on your files, you could also group them by sound waves or in points if you wanted to do it manually. So once you do that, it makes a multi-camera source sequence, which I will now bring down into an actual sequence. So now here's the actual sequence of me doing my thing. And if I switch over here to multi-cam, you can see that this is actually a multi-camera project with the 8 sources in Premiere now. And if I, wait a second. Okay, here, I'll make it bigger. So now I'm playing it down, and let's say I'm just doing my edit. I'm doing that. This is not live anymore, but we're still recording. So, so basically, hey, okay, we're editing, and I'm going to do this because in a minute we'll go back to that and we'll find it. So there's my edit, and when you stop editing, you can notice in the timeline your edits got picked up, and if you take it in off of multicam and go into composite video, you can see that
when it refreshes, is it added to the timeline as well? Does it add like further?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. Good question. refreshing. So now if you go back here to the process clips and you look at the duration of them, they're 4 minutes and 28 seconds. There's a frame or two off on this one. They're going to grow. So the media duration is 4:27. Every 20 seconds it's going to update. So I guess in a few seconds we should see it. Did it just update?
Yep.
4:49 now. So those files are growing. They grow so fast, don't they? Okay. Now here's the one caveat with the multi-camera source sequence. You can't extend it here. What you have to do is you have to go back to your project and open your multi-camera source sequence in the timeline. So now you have your multi-camera source sequence in the timeline. You can extend it here. And since it's nested, now you can then extend it in your regular timeline. So now we should be able to find that one little gem where I'm like playing around with the, let's go to this camera. Let's see. I should be able to find that one little thing, I guess, where I was going crazy with the clapboard. It's in here somewhere. There it is. Is that it? Yeah. Well, I hate that. I can't stand the way my hat made my hair look that way. So I'm just gonna go over here and cut that part out. All right, so that's gone. And that's basically how it works. And then you can go back over here and check. It's still recording. And I know we're probably running out of time, so I'll stop in case anyone has any questions. But that's basically the gist of it. And then for the workflow that I've been doing with the award shows, I'll cut together a package real quick during the show while it's still recording, because they may have 2 or 3 more packages soon coming up. And I'll cut them and I'll put them up to Dropbox or Uyala server or WeTransfer or whatever. And then everyone's got their video clips on their website as quick as possible.
Do you do this in a truck?
Yeah, you can do it anywhere.
I mean, are you the guy in the truck?
Am I the guy in the truck? I'm the little guy in the truck, yeah.
With all the video, all the equipment, you know, with all the wires going into Madison Square Garden?
No, I mean, the whole idea with this is you can fit it in a backpack or a small suitcase and you can go anywhere and set up. If you're doing a show with like a switcher and you want to record ISOs, this is a good way to do that, in you know, in addition to whatever else you're doing, because now you can send it to editors on the set, and you can do this off a laptop as well. You might sometimes what I've done is I've taken this system to ingest and then network it to a laptop where I have another person editing some clips off of the same files. So you can do a couple things at the same time, and you could have teams working.
Is this only a Premiere Cloud, or is this?
No, this is just Premiere. The movie recorder software creates the growing files to record on your hard drives. Final Cut 10 can pick up growing media files and work with them, so can Premiere and Avid.
But can Premiere from CS6, that's what I have.
I think CS6 does work with growing media files as well, yeah.
2 channels audio per ISO?
It'll do 16 channels per yeah. But I think most of it's 8 down to SD. Most cameras do 8, yeah. But it'll do all 8 channels of ISO.
Are there any latency issues?
No.
What's the price point on movie recorder?
So Movie Recorder is $1,000 a channel, and they have a package with the hardware. It's $12,500 for the whole thing, which is cheap compared to other situations that you would build yourself. But it is still expensive.
That's for the Kodak in the box, and you got the price of the
You have to have your own system.
2.
It comes with a dongle and a box to record your stuff with. Yeah.
So for
But you don't have to buy all 12 or all 8. You can just buy 1 or 2 or 3.
2 channels, there's 2 cameras?
This is 8 channels right here with 8 cameras. Each camera is a different channel. I mean, I've done this with network feeds too. It doesn't have to be a camera, it could be any source.
Easy to upgrade if you want to go from 3 to 6 channels or something?
Yeah, you just buy another license. Yeah. But the box is called, the package is called M80 that they sell, and it comes with 8 licenses and the DeltaCast SDI capture box.
The hardware's in there, you just unlock it.
You download a driver for your Mac or a PC, and
So you
you.
can go from 2 channels to 8 channels. It's just a software key.
Yeah, if you look at the top of this, it says 11 licensed sources on here. That'll tell you how many that you have available on your license. Yeah, it's just a download. They put them on dongles, and they send that to you. So you probably have to get a new dongle, or maybe you can update it over web. I don't know. Yes, sir.
Could you repeat the questions from the audience?
Sure.
Coming through the screen or through the...
Okay. I'll repeat the questions. Was I the guy in the truck? Is there latency? How many audio channels can be embedded? So far, I think we're caught up.
So in terms of getting a video out, so you put the file in the timeline, I assume you get another device that Premiere understands to be able to play back.
Yes, the question is about the output of this, because this box is an input. This is a capture box. It doesn't have to be this box, by the way. I've worked with the Blackmagic Ultra Studio cards. I've worked with AJA cards. You can have...
That's a channel count issue, I would suppose.
Yeah, like Blackmagic has 4 channel boxes. You can gang up as many channels as you need. Those boxes have ins and outs. So you can, like, say, do 4 channels in and 1 channel out. So you have your ins and outs in one box. Yeah, and the same with the AJA boxes. They also have ins and outs in theirs. And DeltaCast may make a box that has ins and outs. The thing about this box is it's really small, and you can just throw it in the bag with the rest of the stuff. So does anybody else have any questions about this? Okay, we have a question in the back. I only have a couple more minutes.
You might have said it before, but you're using in your RAID normal disks or SSDs?
Oh, these are normal disks. All this stuff is just right off the shelf. So the question is, am I using SSD drives in my RAID? The answer in this case is no. I'm just using all standard stuff right off the shelf. So the G-Tech 56 terabyte RAID is just so you can buy this at Abelcine or wherever, and then same thing with the Mac. Huh?
That's not a bad, that's a pretty fast little RAID.
Yeah, but it's not really about the capacity as much as it's about the speed. Yeah, the Thunderbolt speed is enough to carry it, but really where the speed comes in is the graphic processing and the cores in the Mac, because you need to have like 2 gigs of RAM per core to be able to handle a 422 signal in the recording side of it. The RAID can usually handle all that stuff pretty well, but depending on how long your shows are, if you have 8 cameras and you're doing 2-hour show, that's 16 hours worth of 422 footage in one night, all go into the RAID at the same time. So you,
That's like 60 gigs an hour per camera, so it's not, I mean,
it's not that much really in the scheme of things. I mean, who would need more than 512K anyway?
43 gigs an hour, 24 frames per second, so it's an LT, so it's not.
Exactly. So what we're saying is it's not really asking too much of the systems. Now, if you wanted to double down and have like going to a SAN or having a backup storage, then you just figure that into your project and get another hard drive and throw it in there. So it's just technology enabling us to do more things faster. And if I don't get this stupid joke in, are you guys? We have 1 minute for my stupid joke?
For your stupid joke, right.
It's just that I feel like interlaced video is so selfish, don't you? I mean, it's like, couldn't they call it 1080 us? All right, I'm out of here. Thank you very much.